Ain't talking about jail. Money get counted, like I'm paying the bill. Straight out of Harris County. Ain't talking about Houston. I'm in Georgia with dogs and tigers. I'm from the county. Ain't talking about jail. Money get counted, like I'm paying the bill. Straight out of Harris County. Ain't talking about Houston. I'm in Georgia with dogs and tigers.
Hey, welcome in the Kudzu Sports Show. I'm Rick Beach along with Ethan Pettit over at the new and improved studios he's got over there on in Hamilton. So, Ethan, how you liking your new get up?
I really like it. I got this new mic and everything, and rearranged my room the other day. Got stuff behind me, moved my hats around a little bit, so
Yeah.
I'm liking
Yeah.
it.
We remember the hat collection you had before, and
Mhm.
it's coming on pretty good. How many more teams you need to have all MLB teams?
I think just 9.
9
I
more?
miss. I got Kansas City and Chicago White Sox. Those are the last 2 I got.
Which ones are you lacking now from the NL?
Just Arizona. That's the last one I need from the National League.
So you got to finish National League up first
Yeah.
before you can. Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe we can get that taken care of before too long. You can knock that one out. We'll have a big shindig on the show about that. We come on a
Yeah.
little bit late. We wanted to go on at 6, but I was showing Ethan. I took the screen off my phone. Had right on the camera, right on the lens. It had a crack. Sure, you've been through something like that before too, and it seems like you always seem to get them right on the lens.
Oh yeah, my last phone was I don't even know how many times. It feels like I don't ever drop my phone, but
Yeah.
I mean, last time I dropped it once, it was actually at a flag game, last year, and of course, the crack went right over the screen.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got this one, I think last May or something like that, but I'm glad I don't have to deal with that anymore.
Right. Sometimes if you drop it on concrete, it's a little bit better. That's smooth. But if you drop it on asphalt, I
Mhm.
dropped mine at the Fox's parking lot after a show with Coach
Mm.
Watson, and that pretty much killed most of it. But yeah, hey, look, before we get started, I'd like to thank Whistling Pig, Derek Moxley Concrete Services, and Christ Chapel Church Hamilton. I'd like to appreciate all of them for their support. And we'll get rolling. Of course, this morning we posted some news on Brody Johnson from the baseball team, the sophomore catcher. Had a bad traffic accident yesterday. I talked to Coach Dimitri. He's talking. Brody's talking. He's awake. It's just never good news when you get anything like that. You get a text message about that. Knowing, Johnson family, as long as I have known Brody and them, it's super worrisome and scary that this can happen and really put sports into perspective.
Yeah, it does. I didn't know about it until this morning, and I heard it happen yesterday, and it sucks to hear that because I'm good friends with Brody, and it's just crazy how quick stuff can happen. But I'm glad to hear that he's awake and talking and everything like that.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be. He's up in Atlanta. Hopefully he'll be able to get sent home and come back to Harris County for his recovery. Probably be out for a little while at the school, but won't be too long. Hopefully we'll see him. And like I told Coach Dimitri, county kids, hey, built a little different, so we'll see him. Hopefully, back around the county and that smiling face, always smiling like his daddy Jeremy. Always got that smile going, and seeing him around. Can't wait to see. Just we'll keep praying and thinking about him. Hopefully he'll be recover pretty quick. So we're still praying for Brody out here in Harris County.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so bad subject, but it's right here. School starts back, this week. Had the long break, and during the break, really, winter sports for athletics and high school athletics is really a slow time.
Mhm.
Really, it's wrestling and basketball is your two winter sports that really keep going around. And over the break, basketball had some few games. Boys team still a little winless. The Muskogee County Holiday Classic was going on. Girls competed down there. They're 9-2. They beat Columbus High School down in that. Of course, all the Muskogee County Holiday Classic games were on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Look, I ain't even gonna lie. I was on, when I'd get on social, I bet they did 500 games. It seemed like on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Every time I'd, you go through there and see what's going on that channel. It
Mhm.
was, two different teams. Also they had the Glenwood Border Wars for basketball. And so it's like you had that right into the Muskogee County. Man, it
Yeah.
was a heap of games on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. All the basketball games. Look, I'm not, and we're open about things. That's the thing on Kudzu Sports. We're always open about certain things. I'm not as big into the basketball side of sports like I am some other sports that I've been around, and I've been around the kids longer on some other sports. But watching the border wars over at Glenwood got me thinking. That won't be long. The border wars for baseball be starting back. Last year you got to call over at Glenwood. You got to call some of that action on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live side of things. And man, I'm looking forward to doing that again this year, even when it's not the Harris County teams involved.
Yeah, me too. That was the first and only time I believe that I've done anything that wasn't Harris County, and I had a lot of fun with it. Got to see some good players play some baseball, and I'm excited to do it again if I get the chance and see some baseball. I can't wait for baseball, man.
Yeah, man, baseball's so fun, and it's. I was thinking this weekend, you see all this stuff with college athletics and the NIL and the transfer portal, and you hear so many people dogging it, saying how it's not like it used to be, and my thought process is go support high school athletics. I mean, if you want kids that are playing for the right reason, if you want teams that are playing, kids that are playing for their hometown and
Hmm.
local pride, and they're not getting paid millions of dollars, hey, just take your money down there and support your local high school. Go to Harris County, donate. Call up Lenny Moore with the Harris County Touchdown Club and donate over there. Because hey, if you want, that's what it's all about. That's what at one time college football was where high school football is right now, and it's all athletics are like that. And I'm really, doing the kudzu thing from where it started and where it's at now. I mean, obvious, I'm all in on supporting high school athletics, and I think it's just the purest form. In the baseball, college baseball is a joke now. All the bat flipping and showboating and hot dogging and shirts unbuttoned, and it's like you want to watch true baseball. You want to see baseball where a three-hole hitter puts down a sacrifice bunt.
Hmm.
You go watch some high school baseball, you'll see that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we saw that a lot in this past season when we were calling baseball and everything. And
Yeah.
it's not a different sport to college and pro, obviously, but it's a lot different, and it's really fun to see as well.
Yeah, I mean it's super fun to see that small ball, the
Hmm.
stolen base. But last year, Ashton Heron had like 30 something stolen bases. That's fun to see. That remember a couple of years ago, the Braves didn't have a sacrifice bunt to the last game of the season. I mean,
Hmm.
it's like, man, you don't, if you want to see some real baseball, I mean, high school baseball, where and in any area in the state of Georgia, this is a hotbed. Not just the state of Georgia. You look across the river, Glenwood, Smith Station, Central. Then you come to, of course, Harris County is going to be really good. And Columbus High is historically, a great ball team. You got
Hmm.
Calvary has got a great team. Coach Smith down there seems like he's putting in players every week. Brookstone, state championship last year. There's like some really good talent in this area. And the good thing about baseball, it seems they all seem to find one. And Troop County, right up
Hmm.
north, they won the 3A state championship. But they all seem to find each other in baseball. Brookstone and plays Harris County, who plays Troop County, who plays, you know, over at Glenwood. And it's fun to see the different styles and seeing how they match up.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned there's a lot of competition in this area, so that's fun to see as well, right? It's not very
Yeah.
fun when you get put into a region with teams that aren't baseball schools or something like that. But it's fun
Yeah.
to see how there's a lot of competition in the area, and they're still able to compete very well.
Yeah, and you mentioned that with the region. You look at last. I like what the region last year they did. I remember talking to Coach Dimitri about it, and that all the coaches got together in the region and say, "Hey, these teams aren't your quote unquote baseball schools. Let's play them early." So Northside, Harris County, Central Carroll, and Stars Mill all played Jonesboro, Griffin, play them schools. And then at the end, it's like a pennant race. And you're,
Hmm.
you're going, the four teams battling it out, all playing each other the
Yeah.
last 4 weeks. And that was really fun to go through last year. Remember the intensity that we felt watching those games?
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. We were in a booth and constantly checking in other scores to the other games, and they were giving updates on PA. It felt it was really fun though to get that feel of like oh shoot the season's about to end. We got some serious implications here, and all the competition in the region. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to do that again this year. I'm looking forward to it. Last year in this region, hey, when we go to 5A, you look at the new region, pretty much going to have this, you still got Central, you still got Stars Mill, bringing in Whitewater, who's another good school. So you're still going to have, that baseball competition. And, baseball, look, tomorrow is 35 days till the first game. So you get 5 weeks from tomorrow. We're going to have the opening game. And look, when once it's here, man, remember how football, it seemed like it was never going to get here, and then we're at senior night that quick.
Hmm. Yeah, and the season flies as well because it felt like it was just a couple weeks ago we were calling the what was it, Manchester week 1 for football.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then season flew by right after that. We were game 10 of the season, but I hope baseball doesn't feel like it as fast as football did because you know I don't know. I hope it doesn't.
yeah, yeah. I mean, football went. Look, ain't no secret. Football started off with the Manchester game, and then it kind of got sideways. Had a couple blowouts there to start. And it seemed like we won the games we were supposed to win. Other than Stars Mill, you kind of lost the games
Hmm.
you felt you was going to lose, and then the Stars Mill game we kind of let get away. But that was football. And look, that new region and stuff coming up for football, they kind of start them and softball start that up. There is talks GHSA switching up flag football, starting that at the same time as fall sports, which would mean you start playing in August, which is
Hmm.
not looking forward to it coaching wise when it's 100 degrees out there. You kind of have to think about in the playoffs last year, it's freezing out there in the freezing rain during
Hmm.
those last, playoff games. But, if that happens, that shakes things up a whole lot. And, hopefully they decide to keep the flag schedule like it is. But if not, you're going to have flag football, regular football, softball, and volleyball all going at the same time. And for us, on the Kudzu sports side of things and Georgia Alabama Sports Live, now you have to try to broadcast these games at the same time as something else. And now flag football sharing facilities and resources with the tackle football. And at some schools that might not be as easy as say like Harris County has the indoor facility and you have your the middle school field, you have your high school stadium.
Hmm.
Other schools don't have that, and it could really hurt them.
Yeah, it could, and Harris County's so privileged to have that, and, there's a lot of times where I'll ask Pearson, "Where are you guys practicing today? Was it the field or was it, the facility when football would be practicing the same?" And, very fortunate to have that other field, either indoor or the stadium to have in practice, so you can always rely on, something if, you're always gonna be able to practice, right? You're never
Yeah.
gonna, not have a place to practice, and I think that's, really beneficial, obviously, to Harris County.
Right. My wild card that I don't think anybody really liked the idea of it, but I said take the STC, what we used to use for practice,
Mhm.
and just turn that into a flag football only. Callaway, they turned their soccer field, they remodeled it, and in the fall, it's only flag. It's got the lines, it's lined for flag. You have your 20 midfield, 20 end zone. It's lined just for flag football. We could throw a HC logo out there on the middle and have a flag specific field. The only problem with that is weather. You're playing in these games now. You got a natural surface, no artificial
Mhm.
turf, and it just mixes up so much. So it's not ideal, but look, football's got 80, 100 people in it. You can think you got middle school, JV, freshman, varsity. They all got to practice. You got all these, and then if bad weather could, it's just there's going to come a time where you might not have everything to your availability, and maybe have an STC. Just another like you said, man, privileged to have all these different resources, and maybe that's what Flag needs to do to just say, hey, this is ours.
Absolutely, that's funny you say that too because we went to that field a couple days ago to go throw, and
Yeah,
me and my dad were talking. We said, it would be really cool if they made this just a flag field. So
yeah.
that's funny you say that because we were literally just talking about that the other day, and I
I
mean
mean,
it would be so cool to have something just designated to flag, and it'd make it feel more special to them, I think as well, right? Because they have their own field now and own everything really.
yeah, I mean, and you look the seating right now. If you haven't been to Hamilton the last while, year or so, they tore down the old bleachers, the old scoreboard. So there's certain things we'd have to come up with, which look that costs money, and that does getting a new scoreboard have to get put in. So it would take a little bit of time to get into that. But for practice and stuff, right now it looks like if they switch it, GHSA switches it, man, it's number one, you got kids that are playing multiple sports. This really hampers them. And then, sharing resources with other sports that hampers that. So, because you also got to think softball uses the indoor facility is not a football facility. You know it because you're
Mhm.
in there during all these other sports. And people think it's just an indoor football field. No, it's soccer, it's baseball and it's softball. And softball uses it a good bit. Then you're looking at football, flag football, and softball all needing it at the same time. It really is a headache that could be avoided just leaving the schedule like it is.
Yeah, it could be, and, you go in there and you see the bases painted on the field and stuff on the
Yeah.
far side and the soccer, but, I think it's really cool that they were able to add that and, because a lot of people do probably think that it's just a football facility, but it's definitely not, every day after school, someone's in there, right?
Yeah.
A sport or multiple sports are in there.
Yeah, when flag football's in there, you remember soccer would be conditioning on one side of it. We had cross country would be conditioning in the end zone. We'd be on the weight room side. So I mean, you're in there a lot of time. We've been tackling flag football, been at Coach Kinsey and Coach Watson working it out where we're in there at the same time. So it's not just Coach Watson only and nobody else allowed in there. Coach Watson does a great job working out with these people while he's going. So it's pretty neat to see that, happening. But man, it's like you kept saying, it's just a privilege to have that. And you don't realize how great it is till you see some of these other schools. I mean, we did, I would say 98% of our flag practices were at the indoor this year.
Mhm.
And, look, when we played an indoor game, it was nothing new to us. We've been inside the entire season pretty much at practice. So, that's something that could come up this spring. Let's talk a little. I started on winter sports. Wrestling had a great break so far. Bash at the Beach, Beast of the Beach, Bash at the Beach. That's 1990s WCW wrestling. Beast of the Beach down at Fort Walton. They went down there, came in third. I think it was 5 different states represented. 28 schools, I believe, coming third overall. Then yesterday was a city, boys and girls. Boys came in second, coming just short. Girls winning it. You see right there, the highest combined placing team at City, Harris County. I mean, that's pretty incredible. You had your girls coming in first. But what's new in Harris County? Girls winning it. Boys came in second, like I mentioned, just coming up a little short. But the highest combined team, that's pretty incredible that they had this going on. And at the same time, you had the Harris County girls basketball team beating up on Columbus over at the Muskogee County Holiday Classic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a busy break for us, and it's definitely really cool for wrestling to have both the girls and boys up there.
Yeah.
Girls finishing first and boys second. I think that says a lot about Harris County and those teams specifically. That they were both able to finish up there. Not one, uh, finishing first, and the boys may not finish
Yeah.
close to that, but they were both up there almost finishing first. Girls got first. Boys almost there, not quite.
Yeah, and it just shows what Coach Moore, Coach Wingard, Coach Winkles, the program that Coach Moore has built, and the way he's taken it, that kind of that CEO type approach. Hey, you got Coach Wingard over the boys, you got Coach Winkles over the girls. They all come together. I mean, I've been at tournaments this year, girls tournaments, and Coach Winkles there helping out. I've been at boys tournaments and Coach Winkles there, girls tournament, Wingard's out there. Coach Moore comes to all of it, but it's just so fun. It's so good to see, and again, it's like you said, so privileged to see that Harris County has these resources where they can have a girls coach and a boys coach, and they have all this separate. And Coach Moore's done a fantastic job of building that program to where it is like it is. This is a machine. I said that years ago. Now, I mean, they got like 90 something people in this program. Then you have a youth program that Harris County has that's getting them to the middle school. And then they can join up middle school, joins up with this. And it's just, man, it's a Harris County wrestling machine and that Coach Moore's built.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you just said, with both of them finishing up there, that does almost come down to coaching,
Yeah.
where, you have all these coaches that are doing such a phenomenal job that both of these boys and girls could finish up there.
And then look, I meant to make a little graphic. Maybe you can make one for us that the schedule that we have coming up in January. I think I sent it to you earlier. I sent it to Thrift. Obviously, me and him finalized that. Hey, this is what Kudzu's going to do for the month of January. We'll get that graphics, try to throw it up on Kudzu Sports social media pages. We got basketball. We got the Queen of the County, so we got girls wrestling coming up on MLK Day, the 19th. The 19th is also the first day baseball could practice. I know. Look, I might not make it up there, but I'm pretty sure my man Ethan Pettit's going to go check the first day of practice out, see what's going on. And then we got these sports shows. We're going to try to do virtual 3 times a month. Then once a month, me and Ethan's going to try. We're going to get in studio down there with the Georgia Alabama Sports Live boys with Thrift and Richard. Hey, we can just roll it right into one. Have at least that once a month all
Mhm.
come together. And at home studios are cool. Man, I love having it. It's super fun. But there's something about being in a studio that just makes it. I don't know, man. It's hard to explain, but it gets you ready, especially what you're working with Ethan through high school, getting ready for a profession like this. You need that exposure. You need his bright lights. You need those lights on you, having a producer in your face, having all this stuff. So I think once a month would be pretty fun to have that. But look, I've been called a diva and bougie and all kind of things. We can't just go into the same studio. We got to deck that thing, Harris County, it up a little bit. So when we go in there, it looks like our stuff. It's our home. We want our studio, even though it's once a month, we want it to be home. And like we got a black and gold, we'll even let you put some Dallas Cowboy stuff in there. So, I
Yeah, I
mean,
think
go
that'll
ahead.
be really cool to be in there, in person with a show and have Harris County stuff over. That would be sweet.
Yeah, so that's what we're going with now. And we do the high school stuff, and then we always try to last little bit of the show. We wanted to get into outside of Harris County, not just high school athletics, but hey, we got opinions on all the other sports too, not just high school sports. We watch, man. Me and Ethan text about just about anything on TV. We're not Falcons fans, but we were both watching that game today. You had the Cowboys game at the same time. I was just watching the look. As soon as I tease a little bit. We're gonna have Super Bowl picks later on. But one of the teams I picked for the Super Bowl, ever since I made that pick, ain't scored a point and I had like 30 yards. So I was watching that game before we got on here. And we'll talk about the Super Bowl here shortly. And because the playoffs are coming quick for the
Oh yeah.
NFL, which, man, NFL, the regular season is kind of lame now to me. And look, I'm a Browns fan, so I know we're going to suck every year. But the playoffs is almost like March Madness. When the playoffs start, I'm fully invested in the NFL playoffs. I pick me a team I want to ride with, and man, I can't wait for the NFL playoffs to get started.
Me neither. I've been more excited for this year's playoffs in a while
Yeah,
because there's no Chiefs in there. Not the
right.
fact that I don't hate the Chiefs, but it's just we're finally going to see someone new go from the AFC, and
Yeah,
the NFC side, the Lions not being in there, I think is really interesting. So I mean, like if you'd have told me before the season that the Lions or the Chiefs weren't going to be in the playoffs, I would have told you you're crazy because I would have thought those two teams were probably going to go to the Super Bowl.
and there are probably a lot of people's Super Bowl picks.
Yeah, I think so.
So I mean, it's going to be fun, and you got a lot of new. There's a lot of new blood. Is the Chiefs being out, but it seems like
Mhm.
the Panthers getting there the first time since Cam Newton was there. Man, I saw a thing. This is just boom pops in my brain because I was thinking that. Have you seen that? It was a short with Warren Sapp talking to Cam Newton about Brad Johnson being a game changer, game manager. And Warren Sapp just tells you had a chance to follow on that fumble in the Super Bowl, and you just stood there and said it that man's face. It was hilarious.
I didn't see that clip.
I like with that kind of. You don't see that too often where somebody just calls them out to their
Yeah.
face. So it's pretty fun. But yeah, you got the Panthers getting in there, and the Falcons every year. It's like, man, if they could just suck, they'd get a better draft pick, which they're going to screw it up, but they at least get a better pick. And they every year it seems like they win 4 out of 5 or some crazy number. And this year, you think they missed that extra point in New England? They had all these close games. You was a game away from winning the division.
Yeah, absolutely. And I went to the game last week against the Rams,
Yeah,
and I thought they had no chance. And
yeah.
they came out there, got up 21-0 or 24-0. They held on and but yeah, you're right. It does seem like they always start off like 2-5 or something like that, but towards the end of the season, they'll win 3 out of 4 or something like that. And I saw something interesting the other day was if they wouldn't have lost. I mean, you could say this about any game they lost, but if they wouldn't have lost to the Jets, they'd be in the playoffs right now.
The
And
Jets.
I thought that was really interesting. I think they lost on a last second field goal too,
Yeah.
but I could be wrong about that.
And I saw the Jets. I haven't even seen none of their games. I don't even know if they played yet today. But
Mhm.
if they didn't get an interception, they'd be the first team in NFL history not to have an interception during the season on defense. Ain't that crazy?
Yeah, that seems made up. Like, that
Yeah.
that seems impossible, and,
I mean, a tip ball or something you would get.
exactly. I was watching the game earlier, they were playing Buffalo, and it started at 4:30, so it was
Yeah.
first quarter, and Mitch Trubisky is playing for the Bills right now, because I don't know if they can make their, seating any better or worse, but I
Yeah.
saw a ball get tipped, and 2 Jets were there to almost get it, and one of them dropped it, and they were acting like they lost the Super Bowl. 'Cause
Might be their last chance.
and that's one of those things is, like, that's not something you wanna be known for. You don't wanna be on that team or that defense that doesn't have a single pick the whole season.
And you don't want to be the Falcons that lost to that team.
Yeah, and
So,
now it's 17 games too. You thought maybe, a while ago when they had, 14 games or something
yeah.
that there would be a team maybe not to have one, but, I mean, you have now 17 games, and those extra 3 games, you still don't have a pick. That that's why it just doesn't seem real.
It seems made up. I mean, like I said, you accidentally get a pick at some point. Just
Yeah, I
something
know.
that's
It just
insane.
happens to fall into your hands or something.
Yeah. So maybe they end up getting one by the end of the game or by the time we get off here. So playoffs starting off. Look, we made our Super Bowl picks. Ethan, go ahead and give everybody your picks, and we'll throw it up on the screen.
So, I have the Rams still, uh, over the Bills. I think I had it 34-23. So, uh, that's what I got. I feel very strong in, Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua, and I know they don't have Devontae Adams now. I don't know if he'll be out for the rest of the season or not, but that offense just seems unstoppable in my opinion, and I know they were very stoppable last week against the Falcons, but I just feel like, once you get into the playoffs, that momentum hits, and I just don't think they'll be able to be stopped.
Yeah, it's all getting hot, and if you get hot, if that offense gets hot, you know they can roll up some points in a hurry, and that'd be
Absolutely.
pretty interesting to see. I went a little different. I went with two newcomers, pretty much to the playoff picture here in the last few years. I was thinking Broncos and Bears, and look, I'm not even a Caleb Williams fan, but I think it's all about momentum. I think they've been playing, but Ben Johnson, man,
Oh, yeah.
that head that offense is really insane. They could get hot. I was thinking, and really in the AFC, I was thinking, I like Bo Nix and what he's done out there with Denver, and then I really like Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars.
Mhm.
But every time I think if the Broncos wear them throwback uniforms like they got on today, them orange tops, them blue helmets, that man, I'm telling you, I think they could run through the playoffs with ease if they wore those uniforms every week. And look, 27-17, a cliche scoregami get me because it's always something insane. It's never just that simple.
Yeah.
I was thinking going, 27-18, like they didn't get a 2-point conversion at some point or
Mhm.
something like that. But just 27-17, I think the Broncos offense is really, their defense is really good, but that offense can keep it going. And plus, man, when Bo Nix was at Auburn, I liked him at Auburn. I thought he got a raw deal by the fan base. And I felt bad for him because that boy's whole life he wanted to play for Auburn. And he just kind of got ran out of there.
Mhm.
Did really good at Oregon, and now he's continuing to do really good. And just think, Auburn, pissed him away that last year, got him out
Yeah.
of there. And, it's like, hey, he wasn't that bad after all. The problem was a little deeper than quarterback when Bo Nix was at Auburn.
Yeah, and, when he was there, I wasn't one to think that quarterback was a problem.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's always been the coaching in the past, whatever years for Auburn, and I hope Golish is the one to, you know, just break through and at least have, you know, an 8-4 season or 9-3 season
Yeah.
at the least, and, because, I thought this year they had a really good team. Obviously, the defense was good and whatnot, but that offense just wasn't doing it. But also,
Yeah.
I think, your pick here, I like it. I think it would be a really fun Super Bowl to watch, the Broncos and Bears, because the Bears are fun to watch, and so are the Broncos, and Dallas played both of these 2 teams. Obviously, they lost to both of them, by a large margin, but, um, they're fun to watch both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, that'd be a fun. It'd be something different. Seen
Mhm.
Philly, Kansas City. We've seen, getting these retreads every year, and even with yours, the Rams and the Bills. The Bills would be the best story. Um, I was, I was around in the '90s when they went to 4 in a row, losing all four. It'd just be fun to see if Buffalo can finally win that Super Bowl. I love going for that team that's never, that hasn't got there. Almost more that they've never been there. It's like,
Mhm.
hey, the team that's gotten there so many times and come up short. So, and then you got them coming up short yet again. That'd even be fun to see, just the misery continuing for somebody else. Real quick, we will talk some college sports real quick. You mentioned, look, I'll say this about you talking about the Auburn deal.
Mhm.
Goler's coming in there. Maybe he's the one to turn it around. And I've seen a lot of people, especially on Twitter, which is a toxic environment, saying now that NIL is legal, Georgia and Alabama can't win. And it's like, nah, Georgia and Alabama's winning. But I think the schools that are hurting from NIL or the teams that were really doing some shady stuff in the past and were getting away with it, and that's
Mhm.
Auburn and Clemson, because they're the two teams that have really struggled, and they're the two teams that are kind of iffy on the legitimacy of some of their stuff, especially Auburn has always been. I know you're an Auburn fan, but look, even when I was a kid, you think early '90s, it was always the scuttlebutt about Auburn. And look, now that everybody's cheating, they're not doing as well. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
maybe what Alabama and Georgia's doing is, which they're still winning games. Georgia. Look, I'll say this about like Kirby Smart going for it on fourth down. I had a come to Jesus meeting with myself back during the Alabama game when he didn't kick the field goal, try to get it on that fourth down. If I'm going to celebrate him going for it on fourth down on a fake punt and talk about how big his gonads are on that, then I gotta eat it when it don't work. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you can't say, hey, he's the bossiest coach out there. He's the best coach out here because he does these chances, and then call him an idiot when it don't work. You see what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like, hey, look, it's Lane Kiffin's done it for years over there at LSU or at Ole Miss, and he'll do it at LSU a lot. And he's kind of caused this whole thing where now it's all over football. Was if you're gonna live by the dirt, die by the shovel kind of thing. But it's
Mhm.
you know I'll eat it. He even said post game it was a misfire, wasn't supposed to be snapped. I did think back, John. I know you're a big NFL fan. Remember the Patriots and the Colts doing that fake punt?
Yep.
Yeah, man, it wasn't supposed
Yeah.
to be snapped, but they snapped
Yeah.
it. I
Mhm.
thought about that when Georgia got lit up on that fourth down.
Yeah, the Colts had, like, 8 guys lined up all the way to the right side of the field, and
Yeah,
they were or 9, it was something
yeah,
crazy like that, and yeah, that I thought it was a little interesting, though, when it got snapped because I was like, "There's no way you know, they go for it from their own 30." I was like,
yeah,
"You have a good enough defense to where you can, you know, at least put some trust in them to get another stop." And then, Stockton looked like he wasn't ready for it at all,
yeah.
and the whole offensive line, like, wasn't moving. Like, as soon as the ball was snapped, it's like, "Okay, that looked a little weird," but, I just feel like in that situation, I don't know how the communication gets messed up, and
Well, you got the backup center. You got you've ran that same. And it's a stupid play. You bring the punt team out, then you run them off and run the offense back in there. And then sometimes they run the punt team back out, do like the fire
Mhm,
drill, and sometimes they call a timeout. And look, I don't like it either way. It never works. We never get the other team jump offside, so I don't get the point of it. But when you got backup people in there, you got guys that aren't normally in there, and the cadence gets screwed up, or he just has a brain fart, like the long snapper for the Colts. It was the long snapper and like 4 or 5 Patriots in front of him, and he snapped the
mhm,
ball. You can't block them all. What are you thinking? But I've never been in front of 70,000 people screaming, yelling, and just have a complete piss down your leg kind of moment. But that kind
yeah,
of, when that happened for Georgia, it just kind of all the momentum zapped out of them. So they're done. Then, Auburn basketball had the SEC
oh.
started and they lost. I said, well, hell, me and Ethan ain't got nothing good to talk about now. We can't talk about college football. We can't talk about college basketball.
Did you see any of that game yesterday between, Auburn and Georgia?
Yeah, that was
To the
about the
ending?
stupidest foul at the end of the game I've ever seen, and Georgia deserved to lose the game after that.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
how do you foul him? You're up by 4. Just let him shoot that three with no time on the clock, and the game's over.
yeah, I don't know, and I thought Auburn got insanely lucky, and I was sitting there, I was like, "There's no way that just happened," and
Yeah.
I was like, "Man, 2026 is off to a great start," and then it wasn't. That overtime didn't work out, but,
at least it was the guy that committed the foul ended up hitting the 2 threes that kind of took
Yeah.
the with a hurt ankle. It was
Hmm.
just, I don't. And look, Georgia basketball for the last since Mike White's been there, we kill it from the start until December 31st. And then SEC play starts, and we go from like 11-2 or 10-3. Then we're about 500 by the March. So it's kind of fun to win one. The SEC is tough. We got Florida coming up this week. Georgia plays
Hmm.
at Florida. Y'all play A&M, I believe, right after. They're
Hmm.
both Tuesday nights, and one's at 7, one's at 9 on Tuesday night. I think Auburn's going to be fine basketball. Look, they got too good of a team. That Petaway is really so good. Pearls, and y'all had a tough non-conference schedule with Georgia's playing Long Island University and DeVry and stuff like that. So I
Hmm.
mean, I think Auburn's going to be fine. I think they'll make one of the teams to make a tournament run still, even with it kind of start. Which you got a new coach.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was something that, I was like, "Ah, man, I don't know about this season with Auburn." It started out pretty good, and then, that like you said, they've had a tough non-conference schedule. They had to
Yeah,
play Houston, Arizona, all these other teams that, they're top 5 teams.
yeah,
Michigan, they played them, who I think are ranked second right now, and lost all of those games. And now you go into SEC play. I thought they might beat Georgia. You know, I know, you know, they're not the best of teams right now, but I was like, I think they're a good enough team still to, make a run. I think, or not make a run, but
yeah.
make it to the tournament. But I don't know how much further I could say they could go from there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, like, look, I don't even college. I watch SEC basketball, but I won't know what happens outside the SEC until they release the big tournament
Hmm.
brackets. That's just how I am. I don't really get into basketball that much, but I love watching the SEC teams kind of round robin themselves all season. It seems like anybody can be. It's almost like the football side of it.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt looks like a really good team right now, but we'll find out in March how good everybody is. So it's it'll be fun. Like I said, it's still, Auburn is still one of the top basketball schools in the country. So I expect them to be one of the top teams come SEC tournament time. And that's when it really matters because that's when your seeding matters.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope it works out, but we'll just have to wait and see.
And I wasn't a big fan of, Pearl kind of leaving when he did just to hand it over to his son. I feel, I don't know, didn't like the looks of that, and it kind of put his son in a bad spot, because you have a tough schedule that's already made. He had no hand in making it,
Yeah.
he just has to go deal with. So I'm sure Auburn will work out fine. Like I said, they'll get back on track hopefully this week
Hmm.
and get their basketball team. But that's all we got this week. We'll post a schedule for Kudzu Sports, all the Harris County athletics we got this month. Got some basketball, got some wrestling, and got a lot of shows. February when it kicks off, boy, we're gonna have all kind of goodies with the basketball season wrapping up. Girls will be making their push for another region championship. Baseball will start up. Spring football won't be too far away after that gets going. So it's a lot of stuff going on. Hopefully we'll have some news on GHSA moving flag football season around. Me and Ethan are a little partial on that decision, so we'll be keeping an eye out for that. And also, any information on flag football team we'll have, for parades or ceremonies that they may have planned out. It's kind of weird to have the game, and then you go on a holiday break, so they hadn't really had a chance to
Yeah.
talk about any of that kind of stuff. We'll get that rolling this week, but of course, anything that happens, we'll have the news right here on Kudzu Sports. Ethan, you got anything you want to add on the way out?
No, I think we covered everything.
Then we covered it. We'll talk a little. I tell you, every time we'll talk Braves at the end. But we didn't talk Braves, but they got a little while for that.
Yeah.
Um, Really nothing to talk about with the Braves. They just add mediocre stuff and just kind of ho hum every offseason about the same. So we'll talk about that a little more, just all about getting healthy. So for Ethan Pettit, I'm Rick Beach. That's all we got this week. Don't forget Thrift and Richard at 8 o'clock on Georgia Alabama Sports Live on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show. They'll talk about the Muskogee County Holiday Classic, the Border Wars over at Glenwood, City Tournament down there at Columbus High for wrestling. So, like I said, for Ethan Pettit, Richard Holdridge, Rick Beach. We'll see you next week and go Tigers.